Okay, I'm back. Are you guys there? Oh, you guys got a view of my sink. I gotta do some dishes. But I got the books I told you I was going to get. Thank you for coming right back. You guys are awesome. And I actually kept it to 45 seconds. So I changed my mind on one book, but I'll show you. So the Harold McGee book I'm talking about is on food and cooking. This is incredible. He is revered in the food world for good reason. You want to know where I get a lot of my science-y and really in-depth knowledge? Books like this. These are my heart. You want to know the whys behind things? This is it. On food and cooking, Harold McGee. Book number 2. Baking and Pastry, Mastering the Art and Craft from the Culinary Institute of America. This is from when I was there in 2009. So this is a little bit older than the current one, but they're all going to be equally as amazing. Culinary Institute of America. Seriously, this is a book I learned out of. Tons of beautiful, beautiful pictures, recipes, knowledge behind why you're doing what you're doing. Amazing. That's Chef Weber, the French chef I told you about with the Swiss meringue. That's him. And this is his bake shop. I believe this was bake shop, let me see, if that was bake shop 5. I think it's the bake shop 5. Today we're making Swiss Meringue Buttercream, but I didn't lose, I used all my white granulated sugar. You can probably hear my mixer going in the background if you're just tuning in. So I substituted, because I'm experimenting on my son, on his cake, I substituted turbinado sugar. And I've already tasted it because I just added the butter and the shortening, and I'm letting it come to consistency. Let me show you that real quick before I show you the last book. I'm a tease, I know. So remember in the last video, hello from Russia. Holy wow, coming a long ways. Thanks for joining. So at the end of my last scope, which was about 2 minutes ago, I showed you my buttercream, which was a little loose and a little grainy. We have gotten past that point now. Now we are getting smooth and beautiful. What am I doing? I am whipping up some Swiss Meringue Buttercream using turbinado sugar instead of granulated sugar, granulated white sugar. Right? What's the difference between the sugars? The granulated white sugar is much finer, and it is incredibly, incredibly refined. Turbinado, let's see if I can do it in my hand. Turbinado, that's so much better than what I had before. You can see the size of those granules compared to regular sugar, and they still have a bunch of the molasses on them. But because they're bigger granules than white sugar, they don't have as much molasses as, say, a brown sugar would. And brown sugar is brown. Yes, it does. It's a little bit champagne-y, so it's not going to be that crisp white that you might be looking for. But then again, there's great flavor. Putting it in the food processor, really there's no need to do that, because when you're doing the, let me turn you around again. Because when you're doing the Swiss meringue buttercream, you're heating it over heat. The egg whites, the meringue powder, and the sugar, you're heating it over heat to melt the sugar. So it really doesn't matter if it's a larger granule or smaller, because it's going to melt nonetheless. Can I add food color to make it shits? I'm pretty sure you didn't mean shits. Autocorrect wins. Autocorrect wins. It does taste great. Is one healthier than the other? Not particularly, because it's still sugar. Granted, no, it's still sugar. I should research that a little bit more before I say definitively, because I do like to know, but I really don't think so, because it's the same product, just processed much, much less. So my last book before I start adding Oreos to this, because Oreos rock. I had originally said The Pastry Chef's Companion, but this is actually a little bit more applicable. You can see it's been in my kitchen a bunch. Splenda, my views on artificial sweeteners, unless you absolutely need them for dietary reasons, you're eating cake. Use sugar. And those artificial sweeteners, aspartame and even Splenda, they do weird things to your body. Sugar's natural. But those are my opinions. And I know some people do need, you know, artificial sweeteners, alternative sweeteners for things like diabetes, and that's completely understandable. Stevia, I haven't worked with it, but also I do like agave nectar. I haven't used it a ton in baking. There are equivalents and ratios to use for agave nectar, but agave, the tequila plant, it makes two amazing things. It makes tequila, my favorite part of the plant, and it gives you sweetener. So my last book, How Baking Works, Paula Figioni. Awesome book. Another highly sciencey book, but it explains it from A to Z from a student who may not know otherwise. So if you really need to understand the whys, this is it, and it breaks it down by ingredient. And it also gives you cool little experiments to do to prove its points. And I mean, things like chocolate chip cookies, which, how cool is that? So, hey guys, shh, I'm still live. Right? You guys are still live? You're still there? Awesome. Quiet, please. So that's the book. However, that was really great that you brought up artificial sweeteners, because alternative baking, I had a chef in a class that I took at the CIA by Chef Richard Coppage on gluten-free baking, and he didn't just do gluten-free baking. His class was advanced baking principles, and it was to accommodate for dietary needs like lactose intolerance, vegetarian, vegan, celiacs, diabetics, things like that. And we learned a ton about how to bake deliciously, taking those things into account. For gluten-free baking, I do highly recommend this book. I've actually made a lot of these things out of this book, not only in that class, but for a gluten-free friend of mine. And some of these things are just plain delicious. Like, I'll eat them because they're delicious. It's, you know, delicious is delicious, gluten or not gluten. But for people who are gluten intolerant or need no gluten whatsoever, this is it. Good read. He has a new book out, that I contributed slightly to. I did some creme brulee experimenting. You want to know why I love creme brulee so much? It's because I spent a lot of time experimenting with it. Am I into molecular gastronomy? Yes. But it seems to be such a foodie thing that it puts some people off. There's a really small niche that truly loves it. But I love molecular gastronomy. I have stuff for spherification, which is such a cool thing, behind me right now. I get a lot of things to just play on my own like that. I actually watched a live demonstration at the school by Ferran Adria, and he did some really amazing stuff. He's the guy who owned El Bulli in Spain. It was off the charts, but yeah. So check out this book. I know I just showed you like a bunch of CIA books, but I got to tell you, I mean, you want to know where I get what I have and what I get and where the root of my knowledge comes from? It's academic style books, not the fun and fancy books. Those are great to direct you for a project, but if you really want the background knowledge and the base knowledge, foundational type stuff to really take your baking to the next level, you really want to be able to create it yourself. Near Buffalo also, hello, the Belos, 716. Awesome. You know, find texts, find school style texts. Okay, so I'm just going to break up some Oreos real quick. I only break them for my SMBC. Yes, you will find out how the chocolate cake turned out. I'm doing a blog, not only for my blog, but did you guys know I blog on Craftsy? I blog on Craftsy. That's going to be my contribution for this month. I don't know when they'll post it, but I will keep you guys updated. If you go to my website, you can sign up for my newsletter, and anytime things like that go up, I broadcast it on my newsletter. But if you go to the Craftsy blog, I just had one go up for modeling chocolate, which has been very well received. Modeling chocolate and candy clay with tons of pictures and step-by-step. But here. Hey guys! Last time. I'm a tiger mom. Somebody gave me a heart for the tiger mom thing. So this is about how much I break up my cookies before I put them in the blender. And not the blender, the mixer. What's the difference between what? a tiger mom and not a tiger mom, my kids don't think I'm their friend. They actually think I'm kind of evil. So I'm just breaking up a bunch of these. The batch that I did is my standard batch. South Buffalo by the grain elevators. Kenmore. So for the batch I'm doing, it's a 1,000 gram batch size. And I'm sorry, I can't translate that into cups for you purely because I don't know. It's really just, modeling chocolate and the other type. So a 1,000 gram batch, I'm using 2 rows. I should use all 3 because I really just want to eat these, but I'm just going to stick with 2 for now. Difference between modeling chocolate and candy clay. Modeling chocolate is made with candy melts, like the Wilton candy melts. Those have no cocoa butter and they have no chocolate in them. So even though we use them for things like little, chocolate molds and things like that, technically they're not chocolate. Doesn't mean they're not bad. Doesn't mean they're bad. Excuse me. Doesn't mean they're bad. But modeling chocolate, which is made the same way, slightly different ratios. It's made with chocolate, white or dark. And just to prove that I am not biased against candy clay, I actually prefer to work with candy clay. It's a little bit more heat resistant, and I have hot hands in general. So here, let me flip you guys around. Sorry for the up the nose pick again. So I'm just throwing those in there. Oh. That was fun. Maybe I should pulse that first. And I'm just going to let the mixer do the majority of the breaking up for me, because I don't want it to get too fine. I don't want it... You might want it finer, and that's completely okay. So you just break up your cookies a little bit more. Actually, I think I need that extra row of cookies. Now, since this is going in a carved cake, and it's not going to be perfect, beautiful, pristine slices like a wedding cake, I don't care if it has bigger chunks. I have done Oreo cookie Swiss Meringue Buttercream for a wedding cake before, and for that I do want it to be finer, smaller chunks, because they do want to cut really pretty little slices. And no, I didn't add any additional flavoring. Normally I would add vanilla to this, or vanilla bean paste, but the molasses in that turbinado sugar, because it wasn't white sugar, it added a really, really rich base flavor to this. So it doesn't need vanilla. It didn't taste like straight Swiss meringue, just sweet meringue. It tasted rich, and it had that backbone flavor already. Vanilla for something like this, if I was doing a straight vanilla buttercream, then yes, I would use the turbinado with vanilla bean paste. But because I'm adding a different flavor in here, I really just need a backbone flavor. And just like when I used tonka bean recently in one of my cake recipes, that tonka bean is a great backbone flavor. It's delicious. It's not like vanilla, but it behaves like vanilla. It doesn't taste like it, but it behaves like it. Just like the turbinado sugar seems to be doing right here. It's not plain. It's wonderfully rich. I would say, you know what? One of my friends, a lot of my friends, but the one who really kind of brought my attention to it, Jamie Hoffman from Yuma Couture Cakes. She makes a brown butter, or a brown sugar Swiss Meringue Buttercream, and I've always been meaning to try it, but she swears by it, and she says it's absolutely amazing. So I figured I'd trust her and give this turbinado a shot, and she wasn't lying, man. This is good stuff. Does Swiss meringue hold up in heat and humidity? I think Swiss meringue holds up a little bit better than American buttercream because you've got the eggs and the meringue in there, but you do have butter. You can, I will be ganacheing the cake. It's sculpted, but I will be ganacheing it. You can use all shortening in your Swiss meringue buttercream. It's not my favorite, but again, heat and humidity, it's just not friendly to cakes in general, and really, you're not going to find that one fail-proof thing that's going to, be great in Key West, in Florida, or in the tropics. You just got to do your best, and it's temperamental. So just like you can't expect a snowman to hang out, on the equator for very long, you can't put your cake out in, 95, 100 degree temperatures for hours on end. It is what it is. It's the nature of the beast. It is what it is. Shortening will hold up a little better, so even if you change the ratio of my recipe to 50-50, shortening to butter, that would be better. But it is what it is, so we got to make do. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to be not nice. I'm going to tease you guys. I have to taste this. It's called quality control. New spatula. It doesn't need vanilla with the turbinado. I've made this Oreo buttercream plenty of times. The recipe from my buttercream is available on my blog. If you look for the vanilla passion fruit raspberry buttercream or raspberry cake, vanilla passion raspberry cake, there's the Swiss meringue, the straight Swiss meringue recipe is in there for you. In that one, I did add some. In the Calais desert, you have to use ganache, I can imagine. And a really, really stiff ganache, like maybe 3-to-1 dark chocolate. At least that would be my instinct immediately. Even in Buffalo, sometimes I want to go to a 3-to-1, but I know I'm pretty much overkilling it. But if you go to my blog, you'll see the standard recipe for my Swiss meringue buttercream. On that one, I also did add some passion fruit paste, but even still, the recipe, just ignore that passion fruit paste, is my standard recipe. If I want to add peanut butter, I literally just add peanut butter to it after I make it until I like the flavor. You can do the same thing with Nutella. If you wanted to do chocolate, I would recommend adding a ganache, something that's already kind of firmed up. Doing straight melted chocolate, I wouldn't do. I use ganache to make mine chocolate. And then Oreo, just crack some Oreos in there. And if you're using flavor pastes, it's, you know, you just add flavor pastes, just whatever dosage, I know, sciencey, whatever dosage is recommended. You can sub out the vanilla with almond or with lemon. With lemon, though, I like to use, I either reduce my own lemon, use a lemon extract. Definitely grate some lemon into there. What kind of peanut butter do I prefer? Jif. I feel very strongly about Jif. It's just delicious. I know some people don't really care one way or the other, but when it comes to pretty much any peanut butter or anything, I feel like it's, I'm going to sound so stupid right now, but it's the creamiest. It really is. And choosy moms choose Jif, and I'm very choosy about everything. I am a mom, but being a choosy mom has nothing to do with why I choose Jif. It's because I think it tastes the best. But use what you like. It's just my preference. You have so much trouble with your white chocolate ganache breaking. White chocolate ganache can be a booger. It can have a lot to do also with your with the kind of chocolate you're using. Switch chocolates. Give that a try. You know, I've been using the same chocolate for a long time for my ganaches, and out of the clear blue about 6 months ago, it's just giving me the toughest time. And I don't know if there was a slight change in processing or in the environment the chocolate came from. Nevada white. It's been a bugger with me, and I don't know why. I'm going to conquer it, though, and I'll get back to you and tell you why it's a bugger and what I did to set it straight. But, yeah, so. Was I in the middle of saying something? I feel like I was. I do this a lot. Imagine my poor kids. No wonder we have some behavior problems once in a while. I'm in the middle of, you know, disciplining, and I forget what I'm saying, go off on a tangent, and then come back smiling. Favorite fondant and why? I don't have one, and here's why. Every fondant has their strengths. Every fondant has their weaknesses. Lemons, yes, remind me again. Every fondant has its strengths and its weaknesses, and each one's strengths are great for a specific project where other ones' weaknesses would make it horrible for that project. I've recently taken to Renshaw, doing a few projects with Renshaw, and I am doing some projects with Satin Ice. My luster technique works best with Satin Ice. I use LMF, Liz Merrick Fondant, Artisan Cake Company, holla, lovey. I love her homemade fondant. Love it, love it, love it. And that one incorporates Wilton fondant, which has a completely new formulation, which isn't terrible, actually. It's far better than it used to be. Some people were used to using the old Wilton, but I wasn't. It was just a matter of what I put in my LMF. So I also use IFI Gourmet for some things, which I can roll super, super, super thin, and it's really extensible, stretchy. without breaking and tearing. I've really been able to push that one, which is nice. Some are soft setting, some are crustier setting. Depends on what you're using. So lemons. So when I put it in my buttercream, I either use an extract. I try to stay away from actually a concentrated paste, which I get from Pastry Portal, because I like those foodie type things. But I always, always, always put lemon zest in with a, let me see if I have it. Do you guys have a microplane? You need a microplane. My dishes are going to fall over. Microplane. That's actually its name. This is what I use to zest my lemons. It's beautiful. Don't be careful. Lemon curd, you can use lemon curd. Yeah, absolutely. Why not? It's going to flavor it equally. What I tend to do with my lemon cakes, and what I did one other time, was I made a lemon buttercream with Meyer lemon. Meyer lemon is better than standard lemons, by the way. They're real lemony flavor, not as tart. I've got to go, though, but real quick about the lemons and microplane. Meyer lemons, lemon curd. I put a layer of lemon curd on my vanilla cake. Put a layer of lemon SMBC flecked with zest, and then my cake, vanilla cake. Really, really good. The punch, the strong punch from the lemon curd, the gentleness and the sweetness and the silkiness from the buttercream with a standard classic vanilla cake. So good. Don't get tied into thinking you can't use other things besides just your flavored buttercream. So, yeah. Keep watching my Facebook page. Watch my scope. And if you sign up for my newsletter, you'll get some extra stuff in there as well, including, I think I'm going to do a tutorial, on the making of my son's cake. You know what my son's cake is? Do you want to know? He's such a cool kid. Grumpy cat. Grumpy cat. So, oh, you're welcome. I like talking. And since you guys like to listen, it's a marriage made in heaven. I'm glad that I can be of help, though. Teaching is in my blood. So yeah, I have to go. I have to do that mom thing. When I ignore them too long, it's quiet right now. Have you noticed it's gotten quiet? That means trouble. So I have great buttercream, but I have trouble happening. So stay tuned. We'll play more with cake. Bye, guys.